We are sure you've all heard of the Blue Lagoon in Malta. It makes sense, it's a heavenly place. But how much do you know about Comino, the island where the Blue Lagoon is located? In this video, we're showing you what to do in Comino on a day trip from Malta or Gozo. Are you ready to dive deeper into Comino's charm? Let's go! Squeezed between the islands of Malta and Gozo, Comino is the smallest inhabited island in the Maltese archipelago. According to Wikipedia, the island has 2 permanent residents. Yet, it fills up with tourists, especially in the high season. Sadly, signs of tourist overexploitation are evident in Comino. To help combat the negative impact of mass tourism, we encourage you to try and visit Comino outside the peak season, a responsible choice that helps safeguard the island's nature. Currently, there's no accommodation option in Comino. Therefore, you can only visit Comino on a day trip from either Malta or Gozo. In Comino, you can find food and drink trucks, toilets, sunbed and umbrella rentals, and even lockers for your valuables. We decided to keep this section of the video short and sweet. For more details, read our article about how to get to Comino from Malta or Gozo. You can find the link in the description below. The easiest way to get to Comino from the island of Malta is to join a guided boat tour that will also allow you to explore sea caves and secret coves along the way. In the description below, we have included links to some of the best boat trips from Malta to Comino. However, if you're exploring Malta by car, like we did, you can drive to the port of Marfa or the port of Circeua and take the small Comino ferry from there. But don't let the word ferry fool you. It's not your standard ferry, but a big boat really. This means that you will still go near caves and rock formations on your way to Comino, just like you would on a guided boat tour. The only difference is that taking the ferry allows you to spend as much time as you want in Comino. The ferry ride to Comino from either port takes about half an hour. You can buy your tickets online or at the kiosks near the boarding points. Between the 2 ports, we would recommend opting for Marfa, as there is ample parking space there. Gozo is an amazing little island that's really worth visiting for more than a day trip. From Gozo, you can get to Comino and the Blue Lagoon on a guided boat trip, but options are limited compared to Malta. Alternatively, you can reach Comino by ferry from Emgar, Gozo's port. The ferry ride from Gozo takes only 15 minutes. The adventurers can also get to Comino from Gozo by sea kayak, an activity you can book by clicking on the relevant link in the description below. No one can blame you if all you want to do in Comino is to swim and catch the sun, especially if you're visiting on a warm day. However, if your feet get itchy and the weather is cool enough for a walk, there are more things to do in Comino. The Blue Lagoon needs no introduction. It's probably the reason you're considering a day trip to Comino. This beautiful lagoon is like a natural swimming pool, and it's hard to resist a dip in its refreshing, transparent waters. Unfortunately, it can get extremely crowded, even in the off-season. Although we visited the Blue Lagoon in April, outside the high season, its small beach was quiet only very early in the morning. Later, it was so packed we could hardly find a bit of free space for our beach towels. The stunning stretch of crystal clear waters that is the Blue Lagoon is located between Comino and Cominotto. The latter is a tiny uninhabited island that you can only reach by swimming, which is a most welcome challenge. Less crowded, but equally impressive, the Crystal Lagoon awaits to seduce you even further. The best way to take in the beauty of the Crystal Lagoon is to choose a boat trip that stops there before continuing to the small harbour of the Blue Lagoon. One of the best things to do in Comino is to hike the perimeter of the entire island, marvelling at gorgeous seascapes and views along the way. However, if you're visiting Comino in the summer months, which you shouldn't anyway, we would advise you against this hike unless you can start very early in the morning. That's because the entire route is exposed to the sun, there's no shade, and the heat can be scorching. In any case, bring plenty of water and wear sunscreen, sunglasses, and comfortable shoes. If you are in the mood for a shorter stroll though, it's a 30-minute walk from the Blue Lagoon to St. Mary's Tower, one of many towers that dot the Maltese islands. This 17th century defensive structure is a sight to behold, but also offers spectacular views from its terrace, provided it's open during your visit. If you walk for another 20 minutes or so, you will reach the quite unassuming St. Mary's Battery, another defensive construction built by the Knights of St. John. St. Mary's Battery isn't really worth the trip on its own, but it can be a great stop if you're planning to hike Comino's perimeter. On the contrary, the abandoned isolation hospital, which lies a mere 3-minute walk from St. Mary's Tower, is well worth your time. Built by the British Army in the late 1800s as a quarantine station for soldiers returning to Malta, the now hollow construction offers unique photo opportunities and a bit of shade. A 30-minute walk from the Blue Lagoon, Santa Maria Bay is nowhere near as impressive or inviting as the Blue Lagoon. Yet, it's a lot more relaxing and tranquil. Near the bay, the beautiful chapel of Our Lady's Return from Egypt awaits. With a bit or a lot of luck, you might even catch a glimpse of what it looks like inside. We weren't that lucky. Even though the Blue Lagoon is one of the most popular places to visit in Malta, the rest of Comino Island is quite underrated. We hope this video about what to do in Comino on a day trip persuades you to explore more of Comino Island beyond the Blue Lagoon. Thank you for joining us on this short trip around Comino. If you're planning to visit Malta, subscribe to our channel as more videos about Malta are coming up. See you next time!